Outer Orange.
Welcome to Results Yap. That's right, that's what we're calling it nowadays because why not? It's basically what we do. We sit here and we yap about results for Cardfight Vanguard. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, fam, we got quite a bit to go through today. So we have the top cuts Jakarta. Don't know where that is. I know you map people. You're probably like, what the heck? What do you mean you don't know where that is? I don't know where it is. I'm bad at maps. Anyway, I didn't study to be a map enthusiast. Anyway, we got a bunch of Levy, a bunch of Razel, a bunch of stuff right below it. I would say overall, it's stuff that we've seen, except for the Vanguard. I know that one was kind of a weird one. It's funny enough, I got sent about it, and actually we talked about it amongst my group about Vanguard, so it was a pretty fun one to see. Here's what top 16 looks like, basically kind of the same, but we have two Sharonui and Vanguard and Night Rose, and then we finish it off with double Raziel. When first and second, third place was the Bat deck, and fourth place was Nui. And Nui slowly started to come back, and there's been a lot of talk about it this past week. I'm a little late to the party. I'm sorry. I did bring it up before that I do think Nui's actually pretty good. I even remember posting, I think on Twitter or somewhere, that was saying Nui's good. I had someone just deadass say you're wrong. Like, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, the deck's still good, even post ban list. I don't know what you're talking about. It's not the best deck, obviously, but it can still play the game. So, and that's all you need sometimes. This is the premium side of the top 16 breakdown for the Jakarta BCS. So here we have a bunch of big quality Grand Blue, Pale Moon. I just want to make it clear right now, you see those top three, the 553, that's basically the best decks in the format right now. These are just an unstoppable forces right now. They're all strong for their own reasons, and if they brick, they're all bad for their own reasons, right? But for the most part, these decks right here are just insane right now in premium. Just gonna make that clear. Just gonna make it very obvious. I don't have to repeat myself over and over again. After that, we have Neo Nectar, Nubatum, and Nova Grappler. I just want to make it clear that these decks below aren't bad or anything like that. They're just not as ridiculous as the decks above it. So it's kind of funny. This is a really good representation of the meta right here. I think Nova Grappler is kind of the weirder of the bunch because it has like a really good resist package, which means it goes around some of Harry's plays and some of Night Rose's plays and some of Ghidorah's plays, but it really wants to go first. But this one's a little different. I think this is the Ethics Buster version of it. So anyway, here's some more. So basically, again, this is the definition of the meta right now. I think Nubatum is the weakest of the bunch, but it's still pretty good because its deck, like what it does, is just really annoying. All people just can't handle it. But yeah, this is this is a very good representation. And then we ended with yeah, Mythiarch Bugs first. Second place was Harry. Mythiarch Barks was third, and fourth place was Harry. Now you might be asking yourself, what in the world is Mythiarch Bugs doing? I actually spent time and finally tested this deck, and I'll just be very frank with you. It just has it's a really good resource machine that has a actual game plan. It is actually probably the funnest version of Bugs I've probably tried in my entire life so far. The deck's actually really freaking cool. It's been around for a couple months actually. If you guys know Robbie Cole, he's actually been testing this deck for a while. Like I want to say since December. I'm not 100% sure exactly when he started testing it, but he's been posting videos about it for a while. So I've actually known about it for a little bit now. I don't really like Bugs. I really like Bugs. I didn't really cared about it, but I really do like Mythiarch. That's actually what it got me interested in watching the videos to begin with. But then we started seeing tops on it, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's even better than I thought it was, because I never actually tested because I wasn't playing premium during this time. So yeah, fun fact, this deck's insane. It's a really good, well-oiled machine. It plays extremely well, and another Ghidorah package just gets even better. The top 7 off Mythiarch is really good. The fact that you can restand without having to rely on other ways to restand is really good. You can also run the Gizeh package, so then you can go into Megiddo, so then you have a full board restand. There's so many ways you can play this deck, and the fact that it gets to Persona back to hand over and over again is actually insane. You actually have a loop with this deck, and then Enlargive adds on to it on top of that, because as you guys know, Enlargive is an insanely strong package for a lot of people that want to go into ultimate strides, because it basically guarantees you the ultimate stride. There's just so many things about this deck that just makes it really strong, and the pilot really matters. I will say there's a pilot difference, and then definitely going first and going second, knowing how to play into that is very, very powerful too. And this is coming from a mediocre Mythiarch Bugs player, by the way. I'm not even the best of the best. So after that, Harry is just absolutely insane. You can't just say this deck, even through Bugs, can actually win. It actually can beat the Bugs matchup. It's just really hard. You really need to play very carefully. It is not in your favor at all. You just have to be really lucky and hope you can dust in time. Like, that's basically how you play into Bugs with Harry. You definitely need to open crest, and you definitely need to dust them. That's basically the two things you have to do. You have to live between your opening hand and getting to dust, because you can't just auto dust. You have to, live a couple turns. You got to flip a little bit, and guess what? Ghidorah locks you out of, G guarding, so you have to play very carefully. But overall, Harry's like absolutely insane. It's absolutely a monster of a deck. I don't think anything actually directly stops this deck. I think it just comes down to luck and like what your opponent opens, versus what you open. Like if you just open Crest, like you're gonna have a hard time. But if you do open Crest like me, then you're gonna have a great time. I played BCS, 2 BCSs with Harry, and I literally didn't open Crest 1 game out of all, what is it, 14 rounds I've played. 1 game I didn't open Crest out of all 14, and I had a pretty greedy list and still do. So, and that says a lot. that says a lot. That says how strong the deck is. I'm just not the best pilot because I just got back into premium. I'll tell you right now, if I was a better pilot, I probably would have been topping. Like, so the deck's just ridiculous. After that, we have Toronto. So this is the other Canada regional that happened. So lots of love address, a lot of good amount of bats. No Raziel, interestingly enough. Some Roses, Prisons, Raziel, Odiums, Harry. Harry actually in D is actually not that bad. I think it's a very unsolved, and I don't think it's like insane or anything. It's not like you know, tier 0 or anything like that, but I actually think the deck's actually viable. I say with the Rose pick, I think Rose is also viable. You just have to live long enough. I will say I still think Luar is the best of the Stride decks, and then probably Nubatama in between all of that. So like I think Nubatama and Luar are the best ones. Results wise, Nubatama is obviously the best one, but I also think Luar has some room to breathe. And then we have Shernui, and then we have Blackmire, we have Varga, then top 8 looked something like this, which is still a bunch of love address and everything else. And then we finish it off with that was top 16, top 8, still a bunch of love addresses. A Prison player, and then we finish off with Prison winning it all. And you guys may be wondering, what the heck is Prison doing? Well, Prison has a new bottom deck card that's also pretty good, and then also Prison isn't a terrible deck. It's just, it really wants to go first, and it does need to see its pieces, and it does have and there is that thing that this happens every BCS, because it happened last BCS too, like every BCS like season, right? Last BCS someone also got first place with it. I think people just forget that this deck exists, and they just don't know what to do into it, and then they die to it. Like I generally think that's what happens. Also, I will say, if you go first with Prison, the deck's insane. Like it's actually very strong. You go first, you find your dude, or you find the grade 4, you're living a great life. If you go second, you don't find your grade 1, you really suffer, because you're a turn behind. The right skipper cannot right skip once you're on grade 3. You have to wait a turn. So that's the downside to the right skipper. So you do have to wait. But the deck's very impressive in terms of like what it takes away from you. It's also not too bad into the best decks in the format, because it locks them out of certain mechanics. You have to play very differently, so if you don't know the matchup, you'll just lose to it. And then on top of that, they have a new card that just bottom decks your cards. So if you have only one Foxhole, you just lost it. I don't think it completely kills the best decks, but it slows them down enough to where you can win the game. And under the assumption that they're not bricking, if they are bricking, you win even faster. So there's that. I remember a long time ago, people argue with me when I first talked about love address. People are like, oh, the deck's so consistent. It really isn't. Like, it can be consistent, but I'm telling you, there are so many times where especially, it really just comes down to the mirrors. It's really the mirrors where the deck starts losing its consistency value, because the minute you face a mirror and they're just more consistent than you just lose the game on the spot. There's nothing you can do about it. It's still really strong. I played it for a reason. I think the deck's insane. I was on it, right? But there are still these like random scenarios where you're just kind of sitting there like, man, like what went wrong? But anyway, going back to this, so Toronto, we had second and third with Levy, and fourth place with the Nui. You'll notice that a lot of Nui players, people have been bringing back Nui. I will say, and I've been testing and playing a lot of standard the last couple months, it is so fun playing a deck where you don't have to rely on your mulligan to be perfect to play the game. It is such a nice feeling. Like, I've been playing set 6, so it's just such a breath of fresh air to go back to decks where I can just mulligan whatever I want, and I know I'll be fine because my deck will just play the game for me regardless. Like, a good example is FMG that I was enjoying early on. Right now I've been enjoying Mythiarch. I know these are Cove decks. Like, I'm very aware. I've also been playing Kyrie and a couple other decks in between all this and Maelstrom, and just having a really great time just enjoying decks that don't rely on such a heavy mulligan to play. Here's top 16 at Premium Toronto. Again, a bunch of Mega Colony, no shocker there. A bunch of Grand Blue. We got a bit of Grand Blue, some Gear Chronicle. This one isn't as oppressive as the other one. The other one was like very like, you know, these are the top decks. This one's a little bit more open to a couple things here. We got Oracle Thing taken here, and we got Shadow Paladin, I believe, of the specifically Avengers version. Got Narcom, you got Link Joker, got a little mix of things, and then in top 8 it starts breaking down a little bit. Notice there was only one Harry player, and the Harry player is still in top 8. It's probably going to convert over, but maybe it won't. I don't know. We'll see. I actually haven't seen the results for this one yet. So bunch of Mega Colony. We got the Pale Moon, Oracle Think Tank, Grand Blue, Neo Nectar, and Nabatama, and then it did convert over to third place. Okay, so the Harry player did break it through all of it to get the invite at least. But anyway, so first and second was Bugs, third was Harry, and fourth was Oracle Think Tank. So there we go. So in all honesty, it's crazy that there was one Harry player in that top 32 and he made it all the way up to third place. Now I will say he did have to face 2 Bugs at some point probably, so this probably was not in favor of him. Like I said, this matchup's really hard. It is not easy. It's doable, but it's not in your favor. Like I said, you have the auto win button of Dust, but you have to get there. So it's a really hard matchup, especially if you miss Crest. So this is Rouen again. I don't know where this is, but I think this is, I want to say this is Europe. I have no clue. Anyway, we have 6 Cherny for standard, with some Razel, Lubadrez, Varga, the Bat deck, Chris Rain, and Ava. And then this is what top 8 looked like, basically half and half of like go Shiranui. Oh my god, they're so Shiranui. And then we finished off with first, second Shiranui, third place was back, and fourth place was Shiranui. Insane. It's kind of hilarious that this happened, and they're all kind of playing similar decks. And actually, this guy's, I believe, on the same list that Marie was on, which is Alex, who literally is the world's champion for the first ever D worlds, like legitimately. So yeah, so that's pretty funny though how that happened. But I'm sure they had a conversation. They're like, oh, should we play the 2 best decks of format, or should we play the 4th best deck of the format? What's their options here? In between all that, we do have Bat's extremely obnoxious. If they open their pieces, there's actually nothing you can do. I just last night had this happen to me where I went second into Bat, and dead ass dropped 15 orders in my face and checked OT, and I was like, yeah, I can't beat that. Oh god, I even denied counterblast at 1 second. I tried my best. I was like, I still lose here, don't I? And I got my ass railed, like I was like, okay, it's over for me. We did our best. Anyway, that was just locals, but yeah, it was fun. But anyway, congrats to everyone. Really good stuff. Yeah, new meta. Let's go. And then this is top 8 breakdown. Now, I didn't see the afterwards of this. So I don't know what happened here for premium, but we did have a Maelstrom in here, so that's really cool. And then we have some Genesis, and Genesis is actually really good. It's kind of been under the radar a little bit, but actually the deck's really strong. The OTK version of it's like pretty insane. It's been one of those things where it's always kind of been around, but because of time rolls, people haven't really been playing it. You just don't have enough time to really play this. The OTK version is a little faster because you just basically strike once and tell your opponent, okay, like you kind of die here, and even if you check OT, you still kind of die here. Final results of that, and Harry won it all, so not too surprising. I will say a little bit more diverse in this one. We don't have, just double bugs, double Harry, bright rose, whatever. A little bit more diverse. So yeah, first was Harry, second was the Fenrir deck, third was Mythiarch, and fourth was the Avenger deck. So a little bit more diverse, but still Harry being the Crest deck won it all regardless. I think that's been for most of these. It's been bugs taking first, or Crest decks taking first, right? In premium sets, how it's been. Let's go ahead and take a look at some lists, just to kind of break it down a little bit, just to kind of even it all out, even out the playing field for what we are looking at now, because we are starting to get to the end of all the stuff. We're getting close to the end. We're almost done with the season, crazily enough. I don't think I'm gonna look at anything in here because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of tired of looking at I'm tired of looking at Razel lists. I'll be honest with you. There's just nothing fun anymore looking at Razel lists anymore. So let's take a look at the prison list instead, like something different, something new. Some new enjoyment, something that isn't Levy. Because I will not lie, as much as I play the decks, I'm personally getting tired of looking at them, and I'm sure you guys are too. There's no way there's someone out there that's like, I really want to see this deck list. It's like, what has changed? It's all the same, with just a couple texts here and there, right? So here's a fake lock. I love the name. So here's the list. So the bomb decker I was talking about is right here. It's a new grade 2. She came out in BT05. People just kind of overlook this card completely. It's really free. It's just so blessed to do the thing. It's actually pretty nuts. Because Doji is like less potent in the format, Prison actually could shine more, because Prison's worst matchup is actually Doji. Doji just nukes this deck out of existence, and you can't tell me otherwise. Unless Prison checks OT, this matchup is extremely unfavorable for Prison. So that's another reason why I think this deck was able to kind of shine a little bit. Taser Wedge to kind of just tell your opponent no. You got the bomb decker, you got the restander for the guard restrict, you have the actual Prison card. This card's just insane on ride, like it's just a really good card. And they also have some backup plan here, like this is a backup plan card at minuses for the turn. This card is the same as a Flagger player. I hated this card, the Burning Passion. It's a really good backup one of. And then we obviously have the Ride Skipper, and then the Searcher, and then everything else you need basically to play the game. Here's the Nui list. I'm gonna see if it's the same or not. It's a little different. They're running 2 defensive roar. They got a little bit of the forward package. There's everything else is probably similar. They got the grade 1, and it looks a little like a standard list. They are running this card as well. I guess they just like it. It does revive cards, so if you lose your dudes, you can get them back, type of thing. So I'm not against it. I'm not a big fan of it, but I can understand why. This one's more free than some of the other ones. Like for example, the Messiah one isn't that free, but this one's definitely more free, so that's also really good. I guess I'll give you guys a quick rundown. So here's the new Mythiarch bugs that's been kind of popping around. You notice this one runs the Gize, so they have Megiddo down here, so there's Megiddo. The deck is pretty simple. You ride this, and then you Shrine to Ghidorah, and then you do your thing, and then you basically want to play the grade 2 game, so that's why you want to run 4 of this. And then eventually this card, which gets the front row power, and everything else will just win the game for you. It's basically the best way to explain this deck. Like, you're early on, the early game's like really where this deck needs to play super carefully, and then after the early game, you kind of just do whatever you want. Like, you'll eventually just win off a Ghidorah, and if you don't win off a Ghidorah, you'll just Megiddo them to death, right? You just have to be careful like what deck you're facing. Obviously, if you're facing like a lock deck or a deck that nukes your board, of course you don't want to go into Ghidorah, but that's basically the idea. Like, that's what you want to try and accomplish when you play this deck. But otherwise, everything else, it just kind of does its own thing. This ball helps you bomb deck cards and draw cards. This helps you also bomb deck and counter charge. This is your restander, your searcher. You got the key save for the Bakito. You have your ladder to help you stay alive. You got your stride crits and your regular crits. I think the only thing you really fear is the mirror. I think the mirror is the hardest part about the deck like this, because it's pretty, the deck itself is pretty like, I think this build especially, like a Gize or no Gize, is pretty like streamlined. Like, you can't really go wrong with this build, but the issue is then you have to worry about the mirror. So I can't answer for that. I'm not that good of a Bugs player to know how to beat the mirror, but I would say like this is kind of where this is like probably the best. You can't go wrong with this deck list right here. You just have to keep in mind that there's a mirror to get me involved. This one's opting the doll package. I'll die in the hill that I don't really agree with the doll package, but I do see people go on and off it. The doll package is really good if you're worried about bugs. If you're not worried about bugs, the doll package isn't necessarily needed, but some people still run it anyway. Now, when I talk about the doll package, I'm specifically talking about Nightmare Doll and Leslie. This list isn't running Leslie, they're just running the backup plan for the multi-attacker. I generally don't think you need it, but hey, like, I mean, I get it too. Like, some decks just don't have Hanoi and you just win the game off with the Alice, because she'll keep coming out, spinning cards out, and just keep doing things over and over again. It'll reset all your turn. It basically just resets your whole turn. You just get to do things over and over again. And if you get Hanoi, the Nightmare Doll package just kind of goes out the window, right? But the good thing about Leslie is that Leslie helps you keep playing the game because your stuff restands off of Leslie, so it means that you can still keep attacking the Ghidorah player even under the guard restrictions, even under the Ghidorah restrictions. Like, right, you can still play the game. This card's absolutely insane. I think every Harry player should be playing this at 1 or 2 copies. Like, guaranteed. This card's just nuts. Into any deck that isn't bugs, this card's insane. Like realistically, this card carries your whole deck sometimes. Like, the fact that you get to flip extra, it's just inherent shield, the extra G guards, like, you just can't go wrong with this card. It lets you keep your stride grade 3s as well, and lets you get away with running this card as well, which is something I do. It is just nuts how much value this card gives you. This card's nuts. So yeah, well, overall, pretty good list. Like I said, every person has a little bit different. Every person plays a little bit differently. That's perfectly fine. It is a Harry deck. It's a toolbox deck. Everyone has their own little way of playing it. Yeah, this is a loop version. It's a different version of the loop, so they're playing it a little bit differently, but this does have the loop in it. It's funny seeing Bobo in here. This is that. I will say I am not mechanically smart enough to tell you what is happening here, because I know you can loop with it, but you loop with this card and a couple other cards, but some of the cards aren't in here. Like, a lot of people run the V one, but specifically for the Force 2 marker, this deck's not running it, so I don't know if their game plan is to loop, but they definitely have the cards to loop. So there might be a mix of both. Maybe they opt to loop, but then they're like, okay, well, if I can't loop, I can do something else. Maybe that's the idea behind this version. I'm not too sure. This one's a little different from like what I would consider a standard OTK loop looks like, but it allows like maybe plays it differently. The loop happens under this card, by the way. This is the card that you loop under, and you basically just tell your opponent you can't guard, you can't do anything, there's a bit of power, die. You do need to find ladder. If you don't find ladder, it kind of hurts you like a lot, because they can nuke your board and you lose to it. I suppose this is the loop without the Regalius cards. This is the non-Regalius loop, I'm guessing, which I don't know how much different it is or if it's better or not. Like I said, I'm not a Genesis main, and I'll tell you guys right now, I suck at Genesis. Like, I'm just so bad at Genesis. Like, I don't know, I just can't do it. So not for me, but I have the cards because my boyfriend really likes Genesis. So for Genesis enjoyers, try it out. All right, so yeah, this is the one with the 4 defensing roar. Yep, this is one with 4 defensing roar, so it's pretty standard. I just want to show you guys the defensing roar list one more time before I close it out here. Other than that, guys, that's it for this. I hope you guys enjoyed the little results yap that we just did today. Interesting to see it towards the end. D is changing. I really like that. I like the fact that there was enough time for people to start shifting off of other decks and start playing other decks. It's really cool to see. It's my favorite part about a format lasting long enough for that kind of stuff, because then you start seeing people try and counteract stuff, and I really like that. Like I said, I think people really underestimated this deck's level. It just shows how powerful this deck was unrestricted. Think about the fact that this deck has had 3 restrictions on it. That's all I'm saying. 3 restrictions on this deck, and it's still doing as well as it is. And people are telling me that the deck's not good. Like, I don't know. I don't know. What are the results showing? I don't know. Oh, the deck seems kind of good, even with 3 restrictions on it. It's still topping to this day. Like, in Levy and Razio format, probably one of the strongest formats that D has had in a while. So 50cards.shop, he is doing a huge huge 6-year anniversary sale going on. So just letting you guys know, it's got a lot of goodies. He's got a lot of decks. That's just a bunch of stuff over there. Just check it out. VintageCards.shop. Code Orange to use my code and save yourself some money. On that, guys, peace out so much. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the support. You guys keep subbing and commenting all this wonderful stuff. Oh my god, it makes me so happy. I love seeing it. Thank you so much for supporting me as per usual. I really love it. I don't really even, you know, I don't care about the numbers or something like that. It's just nice to see people interacting with a hobby I love. It's just nice to interact with you guys back. Same on Twitter and anywhere else that I do stuff on, like Twitch and everything. So I really appreciate it. Thank you for everything, guys. I really do appreciate it. So as always, peace out. That's what that is. See you guys in a future video. Bye.